Hey y'all, it's week 22 on Wegovy. We've got a busy week prepping for spring war this weekend, so I'm gonna try and keep things simple. This week I'm making some Greek chicken with couscous salad and some spicy shrimp fried rice. The recipes will all be linked down in the description below, but if you'd like a detailed calorie and macro breakdown of everything I ate this week, I'll have a link in the description to my Fitness Pal where you can view my food diary. If these recipes sound good to you, be sure to give the video a like. I hope you enjoy it. Let's get cooking.
Together. Take my hand and we will conquer the world.
All right, we're going to put together this Greek couscous salad. This is one of my absolute favorite recipes. We're going to need some garbanzo beans, olives. Recipe calls for kalamata, but those are a little too strong for me, so I just use regular black olives. Tomatoes, these are some mini cucumbers. You can use a English cucumber, regular cucumber, whatever you like. Some chicken broth, couscous. I buy mine in the bulk section. If you're trying to go low carb, I've also, back in my keto days, I made this with cauliflower rice and it was actually really quite good. Small red onions, some lemon juice, some block feta cheese, oregano, salt, pepper, and a little bit of oil. So let's put this together. Okay, so in here I have 1.5 cups of chicken stock that I am going to put on high and I'm going to bring it to a boil. All right, now that that is boiling, I'm going to turn off the heat, and then I'm going to stir in a cup of uncooked couscous and 1/2 teaspoon of oregano. And then I'm going to remove this from the heat, cover it, and let it sit for 5 minutes. All right, so it's been 5 minutes. And we're just gonna fluff this. It says to fluff it with a fork, but I'm just gonna use this thing, it's faster. Because you're just separating the grains of couscous. And then we're gonna assemble the rest of the salad. All right, so in here I have 1/4 cup of water and 3 tablespoons of lemon juice. I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of avocado oil. And then, recipe calls for a teaspoon of black pepper or to taste. That's a lot of black pepper. So I'm just gonna add some. It is a good amount of salad, so you want a decent amount of pepper, but probably not a teaspoon for me anyway. And then also salt to taste, so I'll just start with some, and if I need to add some more later, I can. And that's all there is to the dressing. So, I'm gonna stir that up a little bit. And then in here, isn't that gorgeous? I have feta cheese, tomato, black olives, garbanzo beans, red onion, and cucumber. Obviously the recipe is down in the description for quantities, but I mean really quantity wise you can do what you want to do. Okay, so to this I'm going to add my couscous. Just dump it on in there. And then we're going to dump in that vinaigrette. Just stir it up. If you've ever had tabbouleh, it looks a lot like tabbouleh, but it's very different because tabbouleh has, I believe, bulgur in it. Couscous is a lot softer. Couscous, in case you don't know, is just a very tiny pasta. Now, the recipe says that this is 4 servings. On my best binge eating day, I couldn't eat 1/4 of this in one sitting. On Wegovy, even less so. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some plastic wrap on this and let it sit in the fridge until I'm ready to eat it. Let me taste it really quick for salt. Be sure to get some of the feta and the olive because that's going to affect your salt. Yeah, I just think I could use just a tiny bit more salt. Whoop. All right. I'm gonna just stir this up, plastic wrap it, stick it in the fridge until lunchtime. Okay, so So I'm going to throw together a marinade for my chicken thighs that I'm going to eat with my stuff. Word. My couscous salad. Jiminy Christmas. And this isn't a recipe, I'm just kind of throwing stuff together here, guys, so I'm going to do my best to give you some sort of idea as to quantities, but that was maybe a tablespoon-ish of olive oil. And then I'm going to put in some lemon juice, probably twice as much as the olive oil. Let's put the rest in there. I think that was about 2 tablespoons. Maybe 3. And then I'm going to put in some garlic powder. Probably about a teaspoon. Some onion powder, about half a teaspoon. And then about a half a teaspoon each of thyme. That's probably more like a quarter of a teaspoon. Half a teaspoon of oregano. And then probably about a quarter of a teaspoon of dill. And then we'll do some salt. Maybe a teaspoon or so. And then probably about a half a teaspoon of black pepper. Kind of zhuzh that up a little. Let me put a little bit of water in there just to help it go a little further. And then I'm just gonna throw my chicken thighs in. Well, I'll probably place them rather than throw them, but. Oops. Oh my goodness. I'm having a hard time here. Okay, so that's actually, that's 5 chicken thighs. And I'll be doing 1 per day, so that works for me. Get as much air as you possibly can out of the bag. So it helps the marinade to have better contact with the meat. I'm gonna smoosh it around. And then you have to be careful with marinades that have a lot of acid in them, not leaving them too long because they will start to cook the chicken, but you could probably do this overnight. I'm probably only gonna have about 30 minutes or so before I need to cook these so that I can eat it for lunch, but that's totally fine. All right, so I had turned them over and put the lid on and let them cook for a while until all the liquid evaporated. And now I'm gonna turn them back over so that I can let the skin crisp up and get some color on it. You see we got a little bit of color on the underside, which is nice. And I'm gonna leave the lid off now because I don't want them to steam anymore. I was mostly just doing that to speed along them cooking on the inside because I'm hungry. And I'm going to turn these down to like a medium high so that that skin can render out its fat and slowly start to crisp up. And then we'll check back. All right, let's check on these. Oh, that one's pretty. Alright, so I think I'm going to pop these on a half sheet pan and finish them in the oven just because, like, you can see they're getting, like, really brown, like, right where they're touching the pan. But they're not browning, like, all this is still flabby. I'll probably end up cutting a lot of the skin off just because, I mean, it's not necessary, but crispy chicken skin is, like, the best thing in the world. So if I can get more of it crisp, I would prefer that. But I might stick them under the broiler just to make it yummy. Okay, let's try out this chicken first. Very lemony. I mean, yeah, no. My couscous salad. So good. So if you're a vegetarian, you could also use veggie broth for this instead of chicken broth and make it completely vegetarian. If you were to omit the feta cheese, it would be vegan. It's just so good. It's very fresh. I love the texture of the couscous. It's got that little bite from the onion and the saltiness from the olives and the feta. It's a great salad to take to like a potluck or a picnic because there's no, like, it can sit out for a long time. Nothing creamy or meaty in it. You could definitely add just like sliced up chicken or rotisserie chicken to this to make it like an all-in-one kind of a salad if that's what you're into. But I just love how easy this is to just, once it's thrown together, which I mean takes a little bit but not much. I mean, honestly, it's mostly just the cutting up the veggies and stuff, which you can do while the couscous is cooking. So it takes maybe 10 minutes to throw together from start to finish, including cooking the couscous. So, and then you just kind of have to let it cool and you just leave it in the fridge all week long and just a couple spoonfuls. And anytime you want a snack, that's a great little snack that's chock full of veggies and there's protein from the garbanzo beans. And so it's just, I love it. I haven't had it in a long time, but it is one of my kind of go-to summery recipes for sure. So I hope you give this one a shot. It was really, really good. All right, let's get started on this spicy shrimp fried rice. This is a pound of shrimp that I've already added the spices to. The spices are salt, pepper, chili powder, paprika, garlic powder, and cayenne. We're going to need some eggs, some onion, garlic. The recipe doesn't call for it, but I'm going to throw in some ginger. We're also going to need some fish sauce, soy sauce, sesame oil, some oil spray, and the recipe called for crushed red pepper flake, but I have this gochugaru, which is Korean red pepper flake, so we're going to use that, and then some cold cooked rice. You do need to use cold rice for this that's like already been cooked. So I just cooked this in my rice cooker earlier today, threw it in the fridge. It has a completely different texture. If you use fresh rice in this, it will work. I mean, you can use it, but it's going to be gummy. It'll mess with the texture. So cooking it and then cooling it sets the starch molecules in the rice. And I remember reading somewhere, always do your own research, but I remember reading somewhere that actually lowers the glycemic index of the rice. So anyway, let's throw this together. It comes together quick. So as with all stir fries, it's better to prep your ingredients ahead of time. All right, so as always, I'm kind of doing things a little different than the directions say. She says to throw in the onions and the garlic and everything and let it cook for like 2 minutes. Garlic shouldn't cook that long, it will burn. So I'm throwing in a little bit of that spray oil with just the onions first. And she also says to cook the eggs first by themselves and take them out. I'm not gonna do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cook these onions in that tiny bit of oil. And I'm just going to let them go for about a minute or two until they're translucent. And then I'm going to come back and add the garlic, ginger, and the red pepper flakes to this. Okay, so you can see I've got a little color on those onions now. I'm going to add just a tiny bit more spray. And I'm going to get my onions and garlic in here, or excuse me, my garlic and ginger in here. The recipe doesn't call for ginger, but I have it and I think it's delicious, so why wouldn't I add it? And I'm going to sprinkle in a little of the gochugaru, the Korean red pepper flake. Okay, now I'm going to pour in my shrimp. And these shrimp were seasoned with the paprika, garlic powder, cayenne, chili powder, salt, and pepper. So we're just going to get these tossed around with all that onion and garlic. And let that shrimp get cooked all the way through. Sorry, I forgot to add the tablespoon of sesame oil also for this. Ooh, that sesame oil smells good. Keep cooking the shrimp until they're no longer translucent. And then we will add the rice. Alright, so those shrimp are about like 90% cooked. They're going to keep cooking, so I don't want them to go too far. I'm going to dump in this rice. Yep. Had a few chunks that were a little more stuck together than others. Just going to break those up with my fingers. This is easier. Alright. We're going to coat that rice with the oil and everything here. And then I'm going to push it to the bottom of the pan and let the rice brown a little bit for just a couple minutes. See how we're doing? Yeah, we're getting some toastiness on that rice. Let it sit just a couple more minutes. Alright. Good. Okay, so now we're going to season this with the soy and the fish sauce. The recipe says 4 teaspoons of soy sauce, 4 to taste, so it's a little over a tablespoon. That was the soy and the fish sauce. The recipe does call for green onions, but I forgot to buy them, and Richard is not a fan anyway, so there you go. Alright, now we're going to scrape everything to the side over here. And I'm going to spray a little bit more. I'm going to pour in my eggs. Recipe says to use like 2 egg whites and 1 whole egg. I just did all 3 whole eggs. I'm not watching my cholesterol or anything like that, so. And then we're just going to scramble these. Careful not to let your eggs get too overcooked. They can get really dry and rubbery. I think those curds are separated enough that we're just mixing them in. And that, as they say, is that. You can taste it for seasoning, see if you think it needs more soy sauce or fish sauce or whatever you think it needs. And I'm just going to do a quick veggie stir fry for the side for myself, and then we're going to eat. Alright. Shrimp fried rice. It's good. The rice is all separate and fluffy and yummy. That was really easy to throw together. It's a little spicy, but I mean, I like spicy. Really good. Give it a try.
All right, guys, that's it for this week. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and let me know down in the comments which recipe you're planning to try. I post cooking and weight loss results videos every week, so be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to see how much weight I lost eating all these delicious recipes this week. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.
Together.